Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to the first installment of Walking in the Light, discovering the secret wisdom encoded in timeless stories from the Torah. This is our Torah series from the year 5785. If you have not had a chance to listen to the little teaching I did to introduce this series just a few moments ago, you can find it hopefully soon on YouTube, and I hope you will review it and do so. It's only about 45 minutes, I believe, worth of discussion, and it helps to introduce the series. But we are now talking about walking in the light. For 50-something weeks, we will be discussing this, the Holy One willing. Walking in the light, discovering the secret wisdom encoded in Torah's timeless stories. We're talking about the idea in the introduction that we're going to be presenting the Torah as a series of stories told by the Creator of the universe for mankind in all generations, that they may know why they're here, what their purpose in life is, where life is intended to go, what we are designed to accomplish, and how it all will end, to know the things that need to be known in this day, to live a well-lived life in mortal bodies in this age, and also to prepare ourselves for the world and the age to come. This is a series of stories of introduction and orientation. Parsha Bereshit, Genesis 1:1 through 6:8, is how the Holy One comes on stage, so as it were, and does his opening number, his overture, his introduction, the grand opening line, opening song of the Torah, Genesis 1:1 through 6:8. Wow, what an introduction! So these stories that he's going to be telling this week are stories of introduction and of orientation to the world in which we live. They are what a human being who is seeking to understand his purpose and even his identity and his reason to be here, what such a person needs to know about the ecosystem in which he lives and we live, and about the origins of the created order, and the design features of the creative order, and the functions of the different things and species and places and elements of the creative order, and the secrets of successful operation and perpetuation of the ecosystem. Oh, this is not a manual or an instruction book about how to go to heaven when you die. This is not a science book. It's not a history book. This is a book of a creator who loves his creation, and whose his crowning work of creation, mankind has wandered from him and become obsessed with other things besides him and his ways and his plan about bringing them back and teaching them the secrets of successful operation and perpetuation of this ecosystem, and that which it is going to birth into the earth, into the world, into the universe. So today's opening Parsha, Bereshit, usually translated in English as "in the beginning." We have to start somewhere, right? And so that's why I think it's been chosen to use that word, although it doesn't literally mean in the beginning. Torah's opening Parsha, Bereshit, is a masterful prelude. It's like an opening number of an opera. And this opera is the greatest story ever told, the greatest love story of all time, because that's what it is. It's not a story of anger or judgment. It's a story of love. It's a story of love for the creation itself. It's a story of love for the elements, individual species and genuses and places and parts of the creation. It's a love story of the Creator for his masterpiece creation, us, humankind, and our bloodlines, and our mission that he's given us upon earth. So it's a love story, the greatest love story of all time. And this Genesis 1:1 through 6:8 is a masterful prelude to that. Take a deep breath, enjoy. And I want to introduce you to the leading man of the story, the immaculate protagonist of this great opera we're about to read. These series of stories, the leading man is always, he may be behind the scenes, but the leading man is always the creator of the universe. He, blessed be he. He wrote the play. He directs the play. He was the creator of the scenery. He's the creator of the action. He's the instigator of the action. He is the ecosystem manager to keep it all together, flowing and keep it from blowing apart. He is the leading man, the leading character, the most lovable, desirous, beautiful character that we could possibly know. He is the protagonist. He is the leading man of all the stories, both of this parsha and the rest of the parshas to come. Who is the leading lady? Well, we could argue about that. We could say, well, there's different roles that are played that have the sort of a feminine approach to it. The one is the earth. The earth side of creation. Everything's, so to speak, on the other side of the divide from the heavens. There's the heavenly realms and there's the earthly realms. And perhaps things on the earthly realm of the earthly realm are this for the leading lady. But then there's the nation of Israel. B'nai Israel, the covenant people, they are formed sort of a motherly approach. And then in regard to, while we're not maybe female in the physical basar, flesh of the body, we're all playing this leading feminine role, the responsive role at least, to the Creator. So maybe to some degree, it's us, it's you, it's me, it's humanity. But everyone, every nation is going to play a role in this great opera, in this great drama, in these stories that we're going to tell. Some individuals and nations are going to play the role of antagonists. They're going to be the raging nations, the peoples that imagine a vain thing. They're going to be the foil that creates stirs all the pots and the problems, but yet it also causes us to rise to our highest level because we have to deal with the antagonists and we have to meet them where they are and yet overcome and yet transcend all their challenges. So some individuals that we will meet in our life and some nations that have been upon the earth or are now upon the earth will play the role of antagonists. Others will serve as supporting cast members, allies to some level, at some degree, to the male and maybe the female lead in the play, the opera. But don't forget, always standing in the wings is the ultimate antagonist, the ultimate one who stirs trouble up, the Nakash. In Hebrew, that's what it says, but in English we call it the serpent. It literally means the whisperer, the one who's whispering from the wings to try to disrupt the plan of the Holy One and the instructions of the Holy One for how to live a well-lived life upon the earth. Well, that's a good way to start our introduction to the orientation series, to the Walking in the Light program. So let's do our call to worship. Let's sing this beautiful Hebrew song together and let it waft through the airwaves together. This is the first time we'll sing the Baruch in 5785. Would you join me if you know it? If not, just relax. Let the Hebrew sounds go through your ears and your heart. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amin V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. And now would you open our eyes, O Holy One, our God, that we may see wondrous things in your Torah, for we are but strangers in the earth. So please do not hide your commandments from us. We always are in the Torah, so we are not starting something we've not been to before. We've rewound or re-rolled the scroll. We've returned back to the beginning, but we ended in Deuteronomy 34:10 through 12. That's what we actually start from, with remembrance of where we've come from. And we came from this end of the Torah, the last part of the stories, And the last lines of the Deuteronomy that are still ringing in our ears as we begin our series this year of walking in the light, those last words are, "There has not arisen in Israel a prophet like Moshe," who the Western world calls Moses. "There has not arisen in Israel a prophet like Moshe, whom the Holy One knew face to face. In all the signs and wonders that the Holy One sent him to do in the land of Egypt before Pharaoh and before his servants and in all his land, and by the mighty power and by the great awesome things in which Moshe operated in the sight of all Israel." Also, we're leaving with certain thoughts in mind, certain devouring, certain pulsing, energy-filled words. Israel is part of our set of givens of this world. Israel. There's a call to Israel. Moshe, there's a remembrance of this man, Moshe, who is sort of like the minstrel that's reading all these stories to us. And we remember him. He is not on the stages of Bereshit. He doesn't appear even as a child until Shemot, the second book of Torah. But yet he's always been with us. Moshe, there has not arisen in Israel a prophet like Moshe. Who is Moshe? He's the one the Holy One knew face to face. And in all the signs and wonders, also the book is a book of signs and of wonders. We're returning to signs and wonders this year. And all the signs and wonders the Holy One sent Moshe to do, him to do, in the land of Egypt. Oh, Egypt. Now in our mind, we're stirring. There's this prospect of having Egypt out there. The world has got an Egypt in it, and it's got a Pharaoh over it, and he's got servants, minions, and it's all through his land. He has a dominion. We have this adversary, this antagonist to face, and by all the mighty power and the great awesome works or things or deeds in which Moshe operated. So there is a way to overcome Pharaoh and his servants, his minions, and his dominion. There is a way. There is power beyond his power. There is awesome works beyond his mechanics and his conspiracies and his devious thoughts and schemes. There is something beyond that, and it's all in the sight of all Israel. The last 4-5 English words, in the sight of all Israel. There is something that Israel can see that the rest of the world cannot see. What is it? What can we see? What do we want to see? What does the Holy One want us to see? And now we re-roll the scroll back to Genesis 1:1, and the first words, Bereshit, Bereshit. And in English should be in the context of a shaking, a trembling, a releasing of vibration and frequency, in a shaking that sends forth waves and shock waves and ripples, in the context of a shaking. Bereshit bara Elohim, the Creator, barad, he cut, he carved, he separated out, created in the English language. In the beginning, God created in the context of a shaking. He carved and cut and separated out things. He laid out his tools. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim, the heavens. He laid out the heavens. He cut out the heavens, the realm of choreographed movement where all is in accordance with his divine will. And it's all setting parallel world. Et haaretz. He created the heavens. Et hashamayim, the realm of choreographed movement where everything flows easily according to his will. And he also created the et haaretz, the world, the earth, and its realm of independence of will, where seldom does it go according to the plan and the scheme and the will of the creator of the universe. That's parallel world number 2. This is the way it all starts. We should understand there are 2 realms. This is this important lesson we must learn, that we are not bound by what happens in this realm and what we see with our natural eyes or feel with our natural emotions in this realm. We are also connected to. There is a portal we can connect through to the other realm, to the higher realm where the will of the Holy One is done, where the angels and the cherubim and the seraphim and the four living creatures and the 24 elders bow before his throne and sing holy, 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 where there is a council of wisdom releasing decrees from heaven about and instructions for men and coordinate and oversee the lives of men upon the earth and bloodlines in the earth and nations. There is a higher realm, and we can connect to that, and it's our real home. This is only where we're passing through. So after it says he laid out the plan, the working portions, the two realms of the heavens and the earth, he says that haaretz hayeta tohu vavohu, and the eretz, the lower realm, the realm in which we must live our natural lives, was without form. It was a chaotic wasteland, tohu, and it was also vohu. It was void, empty, just directionless. It was purposeless. This was the way it started. This is the way it's not the way it's going to end. There's going to be an alignment that takes place. There's going to be an alignment that takes place between the heavenly realm and the earthly realm. And the whole story of mankind and the whole story of Torah, the whole story of all revelation stream from heaven is that this alignment is going to change things upon the earth and cause it to come into conformity with that which is in heaven. So it says, V'ha'aretz hayeta tohu v'vohu, and the earth was without form, a chaotic wasteland, and it was void, empty, and directionless and purposeless. And then v'chosek al panei tahom, and darkness, a complete lack of light that prevents life and perspective, was over the face of the deep, the tehom, the tumult, the cataclysm, the trauma of it all. The darkness was upon it all. And then the Ruach Elohim merachafet al panei hamayim, and then the breath, the breathing, the spirit of Elohim, the Creator, the Holy One, the protagonist, brooded, and he hovered, and he fluttered like an eagle with his wings over the nest, and he stirred the churning, turning face of the deep waters. There the alignment began to come into place. And what happened next? Vayamar Elohim, and the Holy One, the Creator, spoke, and he said, Yehi or, light be. Into the darkness, light be. Into the chaos, light and order be. Yehi or. So Va'amar Elohim Yehior Ve'yehior, and there was light. It was shining, and it was pulsing, brightness, waves going out from this light that illuminated and energized and empowered and inspired and gave perspective and gave energies and empowerment to it. The light was Vayareh Elohim et haor ki tov, and the Creator beheld, and he looked upon it, and he considered it, and he meditated on it, and he said, the light, ki tov, it is for goodness. It is a flowing fountain of good things that will come into the world. There is a source of goodness in the world, and it is emanating out of the light of the heavenly thing that is generated by the frequency of the voice, the sound of the voice of the Creator of the universe. All things are related to the voice of the Creator, the Word, the Davar, the Word that was with God, and the Word was God. And in the beginning, He created all things that were created by Him, and in Him was the light of men. Or light was shining, pulsing, brightness, illuminating the world. Vayare Elohim et haor ki tov, and the Holy One spoke again and saw it, and he said it was good. Goodness, no evil, no ra, no negativity, no shakat, no corruption, no hamas, no violence, no cruelty, only good. The light is good. Vayabdel Elohim bein haor uvein hachoshek, and the Holy One separated, divided out, badaled, between the light realm and the darkness realm, between the good realm and the tohu vavohu realm. V'chara Elohim laor yom, and the Creator called the light yom. It's a cycle, a recurring cycle. It's set to return and recur itself. We translate it in English as day. But that limits it. That's an English way of thinking about things, as opposed it's any recurring cycle that involves light. And so it's a day, a year, a week, phase of the moon. A creator created called the light, Yom, and the darkness he called Laila. We call it in English night. It's the absence of that order and sequence being able to be read by the light. Okay, so we go on. You know the rest of the story. He begins to lay out 6 days. He incorporates numbers into it to give us some sense of connection in our minds. But then he lays out things. He lays out patterns and sequences of events after the creation of the heavens and realm and the earth realm and the light realm and the darkness realm. He always offsets one realm against the other and then places a boundary between the two, an interface between the two. Evening and morning are the interface between the day and the night, for instance. And then we get to the issue of the dry lands and the sea and the coastlines. And the shorelines are the interface between the two. There's always an offsetting realm. One offsets the other. You must have the both to balance, counterbalance, and offset each other. That's the way the creation, the Elohim signature of creation works. Balance, counterbalance, interface between. It's like the rakia, the firmament was the interface between the heavenly realm and the earth realm. Now we go on beyond that, and so beyond the issue of the dry land and the seas and the realm of the dry land, he called forth 2 different realms of flora. He called forth the grasses or the herbs or the grain waves so he called forth and he created the sea, and in this was a seed that would reproduce itself. Then the second level of flora was bushes and trees, which had the seed and the fruit would reproduce itself in that regard. So he built this law of sowing and reaping into the creation, give it order and give it structure and give it meaning. And we see these different realms of the grasses leading into the trees and the bushes and the fruit-producing plants. And then we see beyond that, we see that out of the seas he began to bring forth life force as well, life forces of the flying of the fish and the sea creatures of the waters, of the fresh and the sea waters and salt waters. And he began to do the same thing with regard to the earth. He began to produce living beings from the air, in the air, the birds and the flying creatures, perhaps even the angels were created on that day, but on that yom, in that sequence of light. We even haven't had sun and moon, haven't had stars. We haven't had 24-hour days. We've had yomim, but we haven't had 24-hour days yet. Then comes the fourth day, and that fourth day was the first day we actually had the sun and the moon to measure a 24-hour period. And so then we begin to have the stars and the sun and the moon and the planets are there to give us days and seasons and moedim, special seasons and appointed times to designate what those times are. We follow the leading of the moon and the sun and of the stars to know when those things happen. And then there was the creation of living creatures upon the land, and he put those things that crawl upon the earth and those things that walk on legs upon the earth, and then he put the fourth on the final creation of the 6th day was he told us why he created man, to be his image or his shadow upon the earth. That's what our purpose is. We are to shadow him. We are to align heaven with earth in our life. Our job is to take the things that we are, align them with the things of heaven and do his will upon the earth. We are his shade, his shadow, his image. We are his likeness upon the earth. We are to bring to earth the heavenly things. That's what man's purpose is beyond the realm of the purpose of cattle and sheep and lions, tigers, and bears and worms and creepy crawly things. We are designed to bring the heavens to earth. Only we can do that. Now that takes place. He told us what he purposed on earth to do. He says, and he blessed us to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, bring it to its fullness of its purpose, make it fruitful. What he was going to tell Adam to do in the garden, to tend and to keep it. We are stewards of this ecosystem. We are designed to make it, to bring out the best in it, to bring out the fruitfulness and to keep it in perfect order, keep it from one species from overriding another, from destroying another, keep man from doing that. Keep any situation and rebuild whenever things go a little haywire. We are involved in the stewardship management. We are ecosystem managers on his behalf, and we are blessed in every way to do so. He specified options of provision and food for us, and then he began to tell us about this garden. Oh, he told us about this beautiful Gan Eden. I forgot something, didn't I? He taught us to remember the seventh day. The seventh day. On the seventh day, the Holy One Shabbated. He took an interval, not to create, not to make it, to let things be and to enjoy them, and to just delight in his creation and let it delight in his empowerment. And so the Shabbat, he blessed the seventh day. He gave a blessing over it, and he made it holy. He made it like his own. So the Sabbath is like the ultimate first reflection of heaven coming to earth. When Sabbath came to earth, it was as if a taste of heaven, the first foretaste of heaven, the heavenly realm came to earth as well. And so we are to remember it and cherish it and maintain and preserve that holiness and let it color and shape and flavor everything about our lives. And then he taught us about Gan Eden, the great Garden of Eden, the ultimate, what we're supposed to see on earth, what earth is supposed to be like whenever heaven does come to earth, whenever the things of Sabbath are expanded into the 6 days of the work week, and we see Gan Eden, this place of beauty and majesty and productivity and fruitfulness. The divine plan and destination and goal of humanity is to tend and keep Garden of Eden, to make the world the Garden of Eden and to tend and keep it as the Garden of Eden. We should have a hunger in our heart for the Garden of Eden. He's telling us the story of Eden, about the waters and the 4 streams that go forth, the headwaters there. He tells us about all sorts of things they'll encounter, including gold and material things. And yet he tells us about the breath of the Holy One coming into Adam, the neshama being breathed into the man. This is the ultimate essence of how we're going to connect with him, through the neshama. The neshama is the God-breathed spirit, the eternal spirit, way deeper than skin color. It's way deeper than age. It's eternal. It has no age. It has no skin color. It has no culture. It has none of the things that the world is obsessed about. It is a deep eternal spirit that allows us to connect, and it is within each human being. Sometimes it's dormant for generations, sometimes for decades, sometimes forever. But it is there, waiting to be awakened by what? The Devar, the same thing that spoke Yehior, the word, the voice, the frequency, the sound, the intonation of the voice of the Creator of the universe will indeed awaken the neshama. And that's the secret. That's the secret to Gan Eden. That's the secret to the Sabbath. That's the secret to our mission and our purpose of being the reflection. We have to let our neshama take precedence over our nephesh, which is our mind and our will and our emotions. That's the interface. We have the realm of the neshama, the realm of the basar, which is the flesh and its emotions, its derives, its urges, its appetites, its fight, flight instincts, its revulsion, attraction instincts. All that is the flesh. Over on the other realm, we have the holy, that which is in the neshama. So we have basar and neshama, and in between we have this interface, which is the mind, the will, and the emotions. Hebrew calls it the nephesh. English often calls it the soul. We have these 3 parts of who we are, and the key is alignment, so that the neshama is the one who is directing the activities of the mind, directing the emotions, directing the will, and directing also the flesh and the instincts, overcoming the instincts of the flesh and the appetites and the urges of the flesh. We've learned the secrets of life, the secrets of how to live a well-lived life in this body already, but now we're going to see them applied in different situations. So we are given the test of choice. And you say, there are 2 trees in the garden. There's the tree, this imagery, this prophetic imagery, this beautiful figurative imagery, and yet perhaps it's also literal, but there's a tree of life. There's a tree of life. This is the eternal connection between heaven and earth, and the eternality that flows through the neshama. There's that, and then there's also the tree of the knowledge of what we call in English good and evil, of tov, that which he said what light was, and Ra, which is the idea of self-absorption and disconnection from the holy things. So there's a tree that allows you to taste both of those things. And of course, the problem with that is once you taste the evil, once you taste the Ra, once you taste the self-absorbed, the independent of the Holy One, you become obsessed by it. You become obsessed by it. You cannot think of the good. You can't talk of the good. All you can talk about what's wrong with everything, because you have now opened your vision to the Ra, to that which is not right, that which is not holy, that which is not good. And so everything you see now becomes Ra. And while you thought you were getting, when you thought of you eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil sounded so good, but you didn't realize you would never be able to see the Ra, or the Tov, like the Holy One did. You would only be able to see the evil, the Ra, the selfish, the self-absorbed, that which was wrong. Well, the lesson of the choice of which tree will be our focus, which way will we wish? Will we go and pursue? The ways of good, of Tov, or the ways of obsession over Ra? Then we learn about the first offense, the offense against the Creator himself, the offense against each other. We see that after the fruit was eaten and only Ra was, then suddenly Adam, who thought at first Hava was the bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, and was so excited about her presence, this now becomes that woman you gave me. Now becomes she tempted me, she caused me, she gave it to me. It's her fault. We see Ra in this operation, and the offense comes into play here. We see this could happen to you, and it happens to us all the day. Now we don't see the good. We take advantage of all the good. We just can't even see it. All we see is the harm, the lack, the deficiency, the wrong. And so Adam said that about Hava. Hava goes and blames the serpent, and you see this dark energy circulating, and you see this is what he was trying to warn us about. This is what he said was death. Now, mut in Hebrew, we translate it often as death. You will surely die. But we think of death as being the cessation of the heartbeat and the breathing, the respiration of the lungs. But we think of it in biological terms. That's what we think death is. But mut in Hebrew, mut is when there is a complete darkening of the neshama. And the neshama now no longer has the ability to take authority over the mind, will, and emotions, or over the instincts and the drives and the urges of the flesh, and instead it becomes a prisoner. The neshama becomes a prisoner in a fleshly mindset and a fleshly emotion set and a fleshly instinct and urge set. Oh, that's a bad place to be. That's mut. And so you will surely mut. You will surely lose your ability to flow in the neshama, in the heavenly realms, and you will only operate on the earth. And then it will destroy everything you touch. The toxicity will come forth from everything. And then we see in chapter, I believe it's chapter 5, we see the seed of mankind. We see the different two lines. We see, again, we have the opposite. We have the line of Seth, as he's called in English. We have the line of Cain, and one of those is very negative, very toxic, and the other one has the potential for good in it, waiting for the neshama to be awakened, and it will be in a man named Abraham. Well, first a man named Noah, later, and then a man named Abraham, and on to the bloodlines. There is these two bloodlines, and between them we see different troubles and situations, and then we see the flood in next week's parsha. It's the lesson of the Toldot, the lesson of the stories, the lesson of the seed and bloodlines and generations. What does one generation beget in another generation? What carries forth through the bloodline and generation by generation that causes toxicity to affect the individual and keep the neshama in prison? And what do they pass on to their children and to their society and to the generation in which they live? What negativity? Or what positivity on the other side? You see these two offsetting, counterbalancing realms taking place in lives. And then we see the introduction to divine pruning, the Holy One getting ready to do physician surgery on his ecosystem. It is not a punishment upon the world. It is a cleansing and a revitalization and a refreshing of the world. That's what the flood will be, and we'll talk about that next week. That's a lot to get started with, right? But let's talk also about not just from the Torah, but let's see how this is brought forward in the prophets, in the Haftarah for Bereshit. You can look it up in Isaiah 42:5 through 43:10. I'll repeat that for you so you can write it down. Isaiah 42:5 through 43:10. The scriptures of the Haftarah are read along with the Torah in the synagogues and along with the Torah by people who are hungry to find the key to life, the answers to the most important questions of life. So it begins, Haftarah Bereshit, Isaiah 42:5 and following begins by saying, this is what the Holy One, Elohim, says. And of course, harking back with the word Elohim, the name, the title Elohim that was given to him in Genesis 1. This is what the Holy One, Elohim, says. The one who created the heavens and stretched them out. Does it sound like, yes, we're referring back to Genesis 1:1. This is what the Holy One Elohim says, who created the heavens and the earth, okay, who spread forth the earth, who calls it to break forth, and that from which comes from it, he calls that to come forth as well. He who gives breath to the people on this earth, and the spirit to those who walk in it, and the neshama to those who walk in it, those who walk in the light. And this is what he says, I, the Holy One. This is read in red in your, it should be in red in your Bibles at least. It's a quote from directly of divine speech of Devar. I, the Holy One, have called you. You hear the calling to your neshama. The voice will awaken the neshama in you. And this is what he says, I, the Holy One, have called you in righteousness unto righteousness. And I will hold your hand like a father holds a child's hand as they cross a road, as they go through life. I will keep you, I will cherish you, guard you, and watch over you, and keep you safe, and fight over you if need be. I will keep you, and I will give you, I will entrust you as a covenant to the peoples of the world. I will cause you to be the mark of the covenant to the people, and you will be a light, an or, you will be or. Yehi or, you will be as a light to the, as I did with the light in the first day of creation, so I will do with you to all the world and all the days. I will give to you. I will call you in righteousness. I will hold your hand, keep you and cause you to be my covenant sign, and I will cause you to be a light or to the nations, to the goyim, to the Gentiles. And why? What will you do? You will open blind eyes. You will bring out prisoners from the prison, like Joseph from the prison. And those who sit in darkness, like those who were in Egypt, from the prison house. All the stories that we're going to tell over the course of Torah that are referred to are all referenced here in these first few verses and these words of the Creator of the universe. He has called us to be a light to the Gentiles, to the nations. To be as the first light. We are to be that to all the nations. We are to open blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison like we ourselves were brought out of Egypt, to bring them out of the darkness as we were brought to Sinai and shown his beautiful, majestic light. This is our purpose. And also from the apostolic scriptures of Messiah Yeshua, to something in there also aligned with this Bereshit. Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, the same exact words in English are translated in the first lines of John 1:1 as are in Genesis 1:1. In English, both of them say, in the beginning. Well, in Hebrew, both of them would say, Bereshit. So let's read it that way. Bereshit was the Devar, the word. And the Devar, the speaking, the vocalization by the Holy One was with God, and the Devar, the word, was God, was Elohim. This should be the way it was phrased. He was Bereshit with Elohim. The word was Bereshit with Elohim. He was there. He was in it. He was all about it. All things were made. Barad, here's that word, that carved and cut and put in place. All things were made, carved and cut and put in place through him. And without him, nothing was barad. Nothing was made that was made. And in him was life. And the life was the or. of men, the light of men. His life was light. And light shines in the darkness, John says, Yohanan says, and the light shines in the darkness as we are the light. Messiah is the light, because these things are all aligned together. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness does not overcome it, does not douse it, does not put out the light. And then going down to the last verse of the, or next last verse of the Brit Hadashah reading for this week, John 1:17. For the Torah was entrusted to us through Moshe. Now, here's where in your English Bibles, especially the King James tells you what happened here. There is in italics the word but, the disjunctive preposition or interjection, but. And it says, but grace and truth came through through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, as it said in English translations. But here's what it would read in English, because it's Hebrew parallelism, and the King James Version will at least tell you that it's all italicized. That means it was not in the original text. They made it up. They put it in there they believed it should be in there because they have a agenda they wanted to project. That somehow there was Torah on the first, but now there's grace and truth. No, that's not what the Hebrew says. That's not what the text says. The actual text says, for the Torah was entrusted to us through Moshe. Grace and truth were begotten in us through the work of Yeshua HaMashiach. The Torah was entrusted to us through Moshe. So with the Torah advising our neshama, then grace and truth were begotten in us. The fullness of what the Torah was supposed to be was begotten in us through the work of Yeshua HaMashiach. Oh, we see it's all been a plan all along. This is the secret wisdom of the stories, of the timeless stories of the Torah, and we're uncovering it. We'll try to do that every week. We'll try to look a little bit in what the Torah tells us. The stories of the Torah actually tell us. We'll look at the literal and the figurative language of them, and we'll also look into the Brit Hadashah, and we'll also look into the corresponding portions of the prophets. Usually Isaiah, but sometimes Jeremiah and sometimes others. So, I hope we are seeing where we're going. Let's talk a little bit about this Bereshit, the beginning of it all. At least the part of the narrative we're told. There are facts beyond this. If you go to the beginning, the B sound or the B letter in Hebrew, you realize that there's so much contained within that B. What? Out of what? In what was the shaking? In what was the beginning? There was so much more that preceded what we think of as the beginning. What? Out of what? In what? In what mood? In what motion? With what vocalizations? How did he make the shaking, the vibration? And what did he shake? And what was there to vibrate? What was there to cause the waves to come forth? Oh, there's so much that's not told. You see a story, and that's what we're reading Torah as, is a series of stories. Stories just pick the facts that you need to know without overburdening you with details. Now, critics and cynics and those who are obsessed with details will not like this. This will be uncomfortable. Part of that is natural, and part of it is designed. The Holy One wants us a little uncomfortable because he's telling us the story. So in a shaking, in a vibration, in a release of energy, a release of waves, an intentional quivering, a tremulous energy release, a causing of ripples and waves, crests and troughs and frequencies and wavelengths going forth, in this shaking that takes place, and the vibration that was released, and the energy is presenting things, and it's touching everything in the creation, before creation, that will be creation, the deep, the eternal deep, and the waters, the mayim, all are being touched. Whatever was there is being touched by these frequencies, and that is changing, making a chemical, mechanical reaction, but like a big bang, as some scientists would like to tell you it was. Well, the first revelation we see from Torah's text is very subtle but unmistakable. The Holy One is telling us only what we need to know about our origins. The rest he wants us to take on faith. This is about building a relationship of trust. And so he will not give us more details than our mind can handle. He knows that if we give us too much details for our mind, our neshama will be put in a prison again. So he needs to keep things flowing in the neshama, response level as opposed to the nefesh response level. So he gives us a little information, things we need to know about our origins. The rest we are called to take upon faith because of our trust and relationship with him. Now, part of the things we have to take on faith is what existed and did not exist before the shaking. Whatever existed before time, before the things we read about in Genesis 1, 2. I want to get to the issue of Vayehi Erev V'yehi Boker. And there was evening, and there was morning. Evening and morning, these are the interfaces between the seasons of pulsing light and the seasons of darkness encroaching. There's the evening, and there's the morning. Never let it be all consumed. Treasure the evenings, treasure the mornings, treasure the times when in between times, because that's where you are able to make your alignment work best. The alignment between the heavens and the earth, between the Holy One's will and man's chaos, as he's fallen into the realm of only seeing and of being obsessed by Ra, by the evil in the world, by that what's wrong with the world, by the differences between us as opposed to that which unites us, which is our common calling to be the shadow, to align heaven and earth, be the lightning rod that allows heaven to come to earth through us, all of us, of all cultures, of all races, of all ethnicities. Those are only flesh things that are this deep. They really will not exist. They only live while we're alive, and once we're dead, they're no longer a part of us. They're only part of our mortal life. But then again, Torah is the Holy One's instruction manual for how to live a well-lived life in the mortal body, in this age, in this time. Well, V'yehi Erev V'yehi Boker. Understand, the key to life is found in the evening and the morning. And what we do in the evening and the morning will determine how well we handle the day and the night. Well, beloved, it's time for me to leave you now. First session in the book. First discussions of the Walking in the Light series of discovering the secret wisdom encoded in Torah's timeless stories is behind us. We have 50-something more to go. We'll be here, Holy One willing, every Shabbat morning where we are, at least according to Central Standard Time. I hope you'll join us. I hope you'll let us know even now that you were with us this time, and let us know your thoughts and where you are, and any prayer requests, anything you'd like to talk about or ask questions about. I hope we have a great year, the year of rediscovering holiness, of awe and wonder, and of returning to what's really valuable and important in life. Shabbat Shalom. I'll see you next week.